Welcome to another episode of the STR Sisterhood. I'm your host, Stacy St. John, and I just want to say thank you for inviting me into your day today. Now, before we jump into this episode, I want to share a quote that I recently read that resonated with me, and it says, "I don't run away from a challenge because I'm afraid. Instead, I run toward it because the only way to escape fear is to trample it beneath your foot." I love that. That comes from Olympic gold medalist Nadia Comaneci. Now, in this episode, we are sitting down with my good friend Dawn Cornett and hearing all about her journey of how she got started in short-term rentals and how she has evolved into boutique hotels. And my friends, you do not want to miss a moment of this. So without further ado, let's jump into my conversation with Dawn. So today I am so excited to have a longtime dear friend of mine on with me, Dawn. Thank you so much for being here.
I couldn't be more thrilled to be with you, Stacy. This is awesome.
So before we jump in, I am going to ask you to share a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Absolutely. So I'm Dawn Cornett. We started Skyview Vacations with our first Airbnb back in 2016, about 9 years ago. And since then, we've been on this journey of our own short-term rentals all over the place, as well as co-hosting and managing boutique hotels, and have had a W-2 job in cybersecurity sales as well. So we've been able to get my husband out of IT, and now my turn.
My turn. So we'll talk about that in a little bit, because I know that the journey of giving up the golden handcuffs and turning them in, actually burning them, is a fun one. But also, you know, there are some fears that jump into our minds when we walk away from corporate. So we'll talk about that. But talk to us first about where you're located and how you got into the short-term rental world to begin with.
You bet. I'm in a little town called Granbury, Texas. It literally is like living in a Norman Rockwell movie. You would not believe it unless you saw it. It is so charming. It's like always voted #1 historic town square in Texas. It's adorable. Population city limits is about 10,000. And we spent many, many years in the Dallas side and ended up getting our first short-term rental here because I rented a lake house for the family for my son's 16th birthday at the time, and got a house big enough to bring everyone, the parents, the kids, the nieces and nephews. And as we're rolling in, and it was like before Airbnb, they were around, but I didn't know about them. Mm-hmm. And so it was like TexasLakeHouseRentals.com or something where I rented it. And as we're pulling in, I had a question for the owner, and I called her, and then I was like, wait a minute. She told me that she owned 3 lake houses on that street. And I was like, why would you have 3? Mm-hmm. And she's like, well, to make money. I go, wait, this covers all your costs? Like, all your costs? And she said, yeah. And then I could not stop thinking about it. I called her back a few hours later. I'm like, what about your insurance? What about your lawn care? Like, you didn't take everything? And she's like, yeah. So we became friends with that couple. They now, by the way, they own Gecko Vacations, and they build full islands in Belize. They've gotten rid of all their Texas investments. All they do is the most luxury properties in Belize. They're fantastic in Placencia. But
wow.
So I was just so blown away. And I went to Greg and I was like, we're getting a family lake house that other people pay for. I want a lake house that other people pay for. And he's like, you're crazy. There's no way. So I went on a hunt, and we started coming out and looking in Granbury, which is where we had been on vacation. And, you know, at the time, 2016, just found a really outdated 5-bedroom lake house with a swimming pool for $259, which I thought was so expensive.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that was our first one, and I loved it from go. I mean, the hospitality and the guest interaction and trying to figure out everything that they might want. And it's my deal, you know?
And so talk to us a little bit about how you made the journey from a single lake house into boutique hotels and retreat centers. What did that look like for you?
Well, we did really well with our first house. And so when one of my boys decided to move to Colorado, I was like, well, we'll just buy a house in Colorado and stay at our own property when we're there. Mm-hmm. So we did that. And then when another one of our boys moved up to the Blue Ridge Mountains, we thought, well, we'll just buy a house in Blue Ridge. And we learned that it was really easy for us to remotely manage, like we just show up in the town, spend 2 weeks like getting to know everyone we needed to have Facebook groups, have them over for barbecues, build like a loyal team, and then maintain those relationships remotely. So we just kept adding places where my sons moved. I have 4 adult boys.
There you go. Are you wanting to adopt any other children so you can go get them?
I'm so done. I want more time with my grandchildren who live in Nashville. So that's why I'm looking for my next project in Nashville so I can spend more time there.
There you go. Intentionally selecting where you want to be based on your family. I love that. I think that's so smart. And I think so often, I'm curious to get your perspective on this. I see people just buying in random cities, random, locations where some guru has said, you should invest here. And I believe that you should have some pull to where your properties are located, whether it's for your own personal reasons through your research that you are in love with that town or that city or that location, or there's some other thing drawing you there, or maybe you like to travel there. What are your thoughts on that? Do you see people making the same mistake?
I do. I think it's all about your why. Like we are many Tony Robbins people. We attend at least one event a year and we crew at least one event a year. And, Tony's taught me everything needs to be about your why. So really being intentional about where I want to spend time. And not everyone wants investments that they're going to use personally, right? And even how they invest dictates whether or not they can. But we love picking places that make sense for us. I mean, it might be because we have friends and family there. It might be because we love to vacation there and just because we fall in love with something about the town. But I like it to be pretty personal.
Yeah. I'm curious, have you ever had a time throughout this journey where you weren't sure of what your why was? Or have you always just inherently known what your why is?
Oh, yeah. I've looked at so many deals and questioned myself. My inner guidance kind of says, if I don't know, do nothing, So like with kids, following my boys to spend time with them, that's just an easy why, you know what I mean? But there's been plenty of times when I came up on circumstances where I wasn't sure and didn't know. And I read all the articles. I follow all the people. We're part of all the same communities. So it's easy to see, okay, this is what's hot. This is what Kenny said to do, my goodness, And so to think that you should go by there, but it doesn't make sense for me to go invest on the Bourbon Trail because I don't drink. You know what I mean? I'm not going to be a huge value to those guests.
Right. Exactly. All right. So you started kind of finding other locations that made sense for you to invest in. What made you choose to also transition in asset classes from single family homes into boutique hotels? What did that look like for you?
So I've always believed in mentorship in every area of my life. I'm just a big believer, if you want to go far, do it alone. Or if you want to go fast, do it alone. If you want to go far, do it with others. And that, take shortcuts from people who have done it before. So since 2020, I've always had a mentor or been a part of a group that I invested in, a mastermind. There's a big power, right? Think and grow rich. We learn the power of the mastermind.
Yep.
And the mastermind I ended up joining 2 years ago, I didn't join it because it was focused on boutique hotels. I joined it because I really respected the person leading it. And he had done a lot of things in real estate investments that I respected. And I had a lot of respect from the group. That's where I met you, right? Originally. And so after getting to know so many people and seeing the difference in returns that people were getting with boutique hotels really fascinated me. You have that bell curve of any industry. And I felt like, we're getting over the tip of the one for short-term rentals. And what else is there out there that we can be investing in that still uses the hospitality part that I love? Yeah,
for sure. For sure. And so what does your boutique hotel portfolio look like today? Talk to us about, I know you have a ranch, a retreat center. You're also focusing on co-hosting for boutique hotels. Talk to us a little bit about what that looks like for you right now.
Yeah, so we did a passive investment a few years ago of 5 boutique hotels that someone else manages. It was my first mentor in the short-term rental space. So that's in the Outer Banks and Costa Rica, West Palm Beach, Southamptons, and Palm Springs. And so love I'm not active in those, but love seeing the returns compared to what it would have done in the stock market. And then a year ago, it's funny because I heard that someone was restoring a 100-year-old boutique hotel on Granbury Square where we live. And I got the person's name, did not know him, and said, I'm going to get this. I'm going to manage this hotel. And I'm not kidding you, Stacy. His name was Ike. It's kind of unique, right? One day my phone rang and it was Ike on the caller ID. And I was like, and I answered and he's like, hey, someone gave me your name and I hear that you're the person we should hire to manage this hotel when it opens. Can you be in my office at 2:00 today? I was like, yes.
Yep, I can, Ike. I should.
So that's how that journey started. I manifested it and just decided I wanted to manage one myself. And so that opened in November. And then loved it. And we said, okay, now we want one that we can be investors in and more active in. So there's the next town over. It's 30 minutes over. It's called Glenrose. And we're a part of the group that's going to be doing the restoration on this 100-year-old building for the Glenrose Hotel. And then we'll be the managers for it. So it's fun because we get to be really active and figure out what does the community need and all the stuff.
How cool is that you have a vested interest in the success of that property? What have you learned from making the transition to managing a traditional single family home into managing a hotel? What has been different for you, just as far as day-to-day operations?
So much of it is the same. As far as the tech tools and the experience, but I've always had large properties. I always loved curating an experience for a large family because we're from a large family. So hotel's different. It's almost all couples, right? And so it's a different customer avatar. And so that's been new. But also I need a cleaner that's willing to go pop by every single day, right? So it's they're all contactless hotels so far. And so yeah, you need to go out every day and check on the coffee bar and the stock of water and how things are. And there may be rooms clean, there may not. And staffing is, interesting, trying to figure that out as, how do you make it worth their while? And if they might only be there an hour and all that stuff's been really interesting to figure out.
So let's talk about that, because I do think that whether you're managing boutique hotels or single family homes, finding and retaining good cleaning teams is not only so important, but so difficult. How have you sourced your cleaning personnel for the hotel, and what was that process like?
Honestly, I have found everyone we work with on Facebook. Facebook groups have been very helpful. Our cleaning manager here locally has been a godsend because of her level of loyalty. She believes so much in us and our vision and our company. So we might go through different cleaners over the years and it might look different every 16 months, unfortunately. But she's been our anchor for about 4.5 years now, that she's going to go pull through come hell or high water. So that's been really important. And I feel like every market we've been in, we've been able to find that.
Hey there, sisters. I am so excited to share a little love for today's episode sponsor, a tool I cannot imagine running my short-term rentals without. It's called StayFi. StayFi is a marketing powerhouse built just for vacation rental owners like us. It helps you collect data from every single guest who stays in your property, not just the one who made the booking. Here's how. StayFi lets you create a custom branded Wi-Fi splash page, kind of like what you see at your favorite coffee shop. Every guest enters their info to get online, which means you capture names, emails, and phone numbers from everybody who walks through your door. And the best part? With StayFi's built-in email and text tools, you can send beautiful, personalized messages in just seconds. That means more repeat guests, more direct bookings, and more control over your business. If you want to give it a try, and I highly recommend you do, head over to stayfi.com STR Sisterhood and use the code Sisterhood to get 50% off your first 3 months. This is the kind of tool that helps you grow smarter, and you, my friend, deserve that. Yeah. All right, let's talk about that. So you find someone on Facebook, and I love Facebook groups as well for finding great people. How have you identified, okay, this is someone who's going to be loyal to me. This is the right person. I think, again, for me, it is hiring by values. So sharing my values with my team and asking for them to give me examples of how those values play out in their own life or in their prior experiences. For me, I have found that to be a tremendous benefit when hiring people. What has made the difference for you in finding one of those star performers in every market?
I mean, I feel like a lot of it's intuitive. When you meet someone, you kind of know. It doesn't mean it doesn't change down the road. You know, if you really connect. But we bring in a pretty tight-knit family feel with our organization. So we know everyone's spouses. We know their kids. We're doing, white elephant gift exchanges. We're doing barbecues every single May. We're acknowledging and honoring their birthdays. We have a group text, and everyone really shares funny stuff and creating a team environment. But I think it's important that people have a growth mindset because it's huge to us, just huge. We're always growing spiritually, always growing personal development, always growing professionally and financially, right? And so a lot of people haven't even been exposed to that, but you can pick up pretty fast if they're, yeah, that's what I want in my life. And I want to hook up by your side and be your teammate on this. Or if they're like, what?
Yeah.
So I would say growth mindset's huge.
That's cool. I love that. Yeah. In fact, a couple of my team members have told me that they have learned so much about themselves just by working with us, right? And it's really interesting to think about, okay, yes, we are employing people, or, they could be 1099 contractors. We're helping them support their families. But how cool is it that we have the opportunity to impact someone's life, right? Isn't that amazing?
It really is cool. And it locally and remotely, because even we've got 5 people on our team in the Philippines, and just coordinated for them to go all meet for lunch. They all drove a few hours, and we bought lunch and had swag for them there locally. And I don't know, my big thing is creating community. I just love to create community. So, I mean, it's just got to be people that excites them, because not everyone wants that.
Yeah. For sure. For sure. It's so true. All right. And the next question I have is, what has been one of the biggest challenges you've navigated throughout your journey, and how did you deal with that challenge?
The first, see, we didn't get these questions beforehand.
I know.
And I asked your assistant. I'm a planner. And she's like, sorry.
Nope.
All of the cut. I would say, owners that micromanage. I'm a professional, and I feel like, I've learned, I know what I'm going to doing, and everything's figure outable. If I don't know how to do it, I'm going to figure it out. And so owners that are really, really hands-on and want to discuss every single thing. My personality, I tend to get very rebellious and annoyed if people follow up with me to ask if I'm doing my job, or, ask a lot of questions. And so, how do I learn how to come across how I want to come across, be who I want to be, and be patient with different personality styles? Pause, pause before replying, and,
Yeah. I have found that oftentimes the owners who are looking to micromanage are not the best fit. And oftentimes we end up, I call it, strategically separating from them, right? Where it is something that I feel so passionate about, is protecting my team's time and energy. It may not be micromanaging me. It could be trying to micromanage my team. And my team's energy, focus, their level of excitement, their morale is so incredibly important. So I have found that oftentimes, those are the clients that I have to strategically separate from. Have you had to do that in your business? And how have you handled those conversations?
Yeah, the first owner I managed for, and I just had the hardest time giving it up because it was 6 properties on 6 different lakes. And my brain told me I need to be in these markets. I need to put up with it. What if this is what co-hosting is about? So it probably took me a year and a half before I was willing to take my mentor's advice to strategically separate. And I don't know, I'm always happy to help people find someone else that's a good fit, or, I really believe in long-term relationships. And so always leaving everything on good terms. How can we be helpful to one another in the future? Still sent her leads, when people come to me for stuff in the area, but
yeah. Yeah. All right. Speaking of strategic separation, you are getting ready to strategically separate from your W-2. Now, what our listeners or viewers may not know is this has been a topic of conversation that we've had, for quite some time. I am curious, if you don't mind sharing, what was the impetus that eventually was your breaking point? Like, okay, I'm doing this. How did that play out?
Well, it's not because I feel ready financially where I want to be, or that I've replaced my income yet. But just, there's some things have changed at work, and the level of micromanagement just kept getting turned up more and more and more, and feel like I'm not being treated like a professional. It was just one meeting, last Wednesday. And I said, you know what, this just isn't working for me anymore. And I know better than to go get another job. Like, we have been doing this a long time. We can go make this happen. And it's just time. I've been talking about it forever, and God has put it on my heart. Leap in the net will appear. And I've had so much fear that I can't see the net, So yeah, my last day is this Friday, March 14th.
It's gonna, like, when you probably on Saturday, it won't really feel different because it's a Saturday. But when Monday rolls around, it's likely going to feel very different.
I have such a full week next week with short-term rental stuff. And then we're going on vacation. We're going to go just shake it all off and go to the Virgin Islands. And then I'm going to visit the grandkids. So it really won't be a day of okay, life's different. I don't think till April.
Wow. There you go. All right. Where are you going on the Virgin Islands? Because I love that place.
So we've only been to the British side. This will be our first time to the US side, and we're going to St. Croix.
Okay, I was just there for a week. When was it? End of November. And where are you staying?
It's a Marriott property. I don't remember the name of it, but we'll definitely swap notes. I want to know all the stuff.
Oh, all the stuff. Yes. They drive on the opposite side of the road. That's the important part. And they also allow drinking and driving.
That's bizarre.
It is very bizarre. So when you go to rent your car, just be prepared.
Wow. Interesting.
I know. All right. I'm curious if someone were coming to you and potentially interested in co-hosting, again, boutique hotels or larger retreat centers, what words of wisdom would you give to them as they were starting out?
Really tap into your why, your goals, what's important to you. Why are you doing it? A lot of us get into it for money, but there's always more, Figure out what's most important. I wish years earlier I had figured out my customer avatar and really, who do I want to talk to? I was on a hotel mastermind call earlier today, and, someone on the call just loves remodeling motels. And another person says, golly, that doesn't speak to me at all. I have no interest in motels. I only want to do resorts, and really just figuring out what lights us up, because we're going to be in flow better if we do things that get us excited, put energy in our bodies, and sit down and write out the options and what gets you physically excited.
Yeah. Yeah. I think so often people think that is just a crock of baloney. The fact that we can actually be intentional about what we want and then bring it to life. A lot of people think when I talk about that I am smoking crack. And in fact, one of my team members just said this to me last week. Stacy, you, for the longest time, have told me that I need to be doing things for my job that light me up. And I used to think you were full of shit. Okay. And now I am doing things that light me up. And I can't tell you how good it feels. So do you have people in your ecosystem that when you talk about this, look at you like you have two heads? And what is that conversation like with them?
Oh, I feel like most of the material world around us and the people that we have the superficial conversations, even the people in my W-2 job and technology. But I'm really trying to only surround myself on the daily with, I'm doing the morning mindset calls. I'm leaning into people who are so focused on growth. And I don't know how to be focused on personal development and personal growth without spiritual growth and energy work interweaving with that. It's all the same.
And so what does that look like for you on a daily basis? I know we've had prior discussions about, your meditation practices. And if I'm not mistaken, you have a specific area in your home that you go to meditate. And so tell us a little bit about that journey for you, how you were originally turned on to, again, that power and what that has looked like for you over the years.
For sure. In 2008, Oprah had Eckhart Tolle on, and I read his book, A New Earth, and it changed my life. Got really down the rabbit hole with lots of similar type books and got really into meditation, carved out a meditation spot in my home at that time. And ever since 2008, I've had a daily meditation practice and a daily gratitude practice. So sometimes if I'm in a hurry, I'll just write in my journal 5 things I'm grateful for. Sometimes it's 50. On the weekends, I usually draw a picture and write in 100 things. But I've gotten really into Dr. Joe Dispenza's work the past year and a half. Got to attend one of his 7-day advanced meditation retreats last August and really getting into the multi-hour meditation. And so spend every morning 60 to 90 minutes in meditation, going to the quantum field where we can connect, and then go work out and then do a mindset call with some peers to do some reading and be in the work. So I like to have all that stuff done by 8 a.m. and then see what the day.
Then your day starts. That's amazing. Now, I have a very, very important question because I'm thinking about all right, well, when do we have time to shower and do our hair and makeup and all of that? So what does that look like? Is that after, I assume it's after your workout and before your call, or no?
No, actually, it's after meditation, before workout. I get ready when I go work out. Now, I will shower from here down.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But I like to have my face on before I go work out because I feel like as soon as I'm done, things can hit, things can come out of nowhere. And I don't know, once I leave my house, I like to have my face ready.
That's amazing. And it doesn't melt off?
No, I'm not a sweater. I don't sweat a lot.
No.
I do Pilates, yoga, and weight training, and none of those make me sweat much.
Isn't that wild? Okay. There you go.
Important question.
Very, very important questions here on the STR Sisterhood. Okay.
I'm one of those women people judge that they're like, she's got makeup on at the gym. That's me.
You do see, it's funny. Now, I will say, when I work out, I'm usually working out at home, but my son goes to the gym and he will now these days do hot Pilates. Yeah. And he's like, that is one of the hardest workouts ever, is the hot Pilates, because he said you just sit there and sweat and it's very difficult. So anyway, I digress.
I can't do that. I don't like to sweat, man. I just
yeah. All right. So you mentioned if you were talking with someone who is getting ready to start out in the world of boutique hotels, understand your why. Okay. What would the next piece of advice be if someone were, again, if they're like, okay, I got my why, what's next?
Does someone have personality-wise the confidence and the desire to go do a project alone, or are they looking for partners? So we've always done everything alone. And it's just recently that I became open-minded to doing stuff with partners. And I'm like, I've been missing the boat for years because so many cool things are done with partnerships. And I always had a limiting belief that was just giving up control. And there's cool stuff in like even local businesses, getting to know people. It seems like everyone has a partner. And I just attended Cody Sanchez's 3-day event. And she's teaching us how to do partnerships or just approach someone who has a local business that I spend a lot of money with that I love and say, hey, if I grow your business by this percent, can I have 50% of the growth and be your partner? Right. And like, it can look so many different ways. So see if they think that's a good fit. Doing something with partnerships with different people. How much money do they have to start is important, right? And maybe a decision-making factor on the partnership. But I know a lot of people who got started with no money, but they had the expertise for managing, or they had some cash to invest and partner with someone that has expertise. But that happens all the time in this space.
Yeah, absolutely. I think so many people have this fear that not only is a partner going to potentially mean that you're giving up control, but what happens if things go south, right, with a partner? And, I have personally been in multiple partnerships, and candidly, I've had some of the most amazing partners because you absolutely have to vet your partners like you're marrying them. I always say you're like getting into bed with your partner, right? So you have to know deep down that this is a good fit. And how do we do that? We do that through conversations. We do that through ironing out all the details in advance on paper. We were just coaching someone a couple weeks ago who had begun to enter into a partnership without really knowing the details. And I was like, whoa, time out. Let's back up a little bit and make sure we're protecting you from heartache and headache in the future. So as you've gone down this path of exploring partnerships, I know you mentioned intuition has been a good guide for you as you're hiring team members. How have you vetted partners in what you're exploring right now?
The people that we're looking at doing different deals with right now have been people we've been in masterminds with for a year or 2 years. So it's intuition, but it's also seeing how they show up, what their expertise is, what value they bring. I think it's a great way to meet people. We meet so many people in masterminds and in groups, right, that end up doing deals together.
Yeah.
Great way to do it.
Amazing. Okay, Dawn, this is so fun. I want to move to the lightning round. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you a few questions and just ask you to answer with the very first thing that comes to mind. And the first question is, where is your favorite place to vacation?
Costa Rica.
Okay, I have heard so many wonderful things about Costa Rica. So how many times have you been? Is there a certain area that you love? Tell us all about it.
I've only been once, but it just was so amazing to me. I love places with different cultures. Kind of a funny story about why we went. I was really sick a few years ago, had COVID and was just really down and out in bed for a while. And I was just, when you're sick and you're just watching too many movies and documentaries, and there was one on essential oils. It rolls into the next documentary, which just happens to be on tantric sex. And they're talking about full body orgasms. And I'm like,
oh, I totally remember this story. Oh my gosh. Are you going to tell the whole story right now? Why not? Okay, ladies, let me just say, you are in for a treat because I have heard this story over dinner and it is quite entertaining. So Dawn, go ahead.
Well, I'm intrigued, naturally, full body orgasms. And I get on my phone and I start searching for couples retreats, couples tantric sex retreats. And one pulls up, it's 1 month out and it's in Costa Rica. So I go to my husband, I'm like, would you be open to this? And he's like, sure, trust my judgment. And we go down there and I made the mistake of assuming that a couples retreat meant monogamous. Mm-hmm. And it was not our people. But they picked us up from the airport. They drive us 3 hours into the mountains. You're like out there. We don't have transportation. It's a gorgeous resort, but it's only 12 rooms and it's, these 12 couples together. And then we enter the space to learn about tantric yoga. And they take our phones and put them in a basket, which gives me the jitters anyway, right? But I'm going to be flexible and go with it. And then they lock the doors, which what? And so anyway, it just got weird when you're on a yoga mat and 12 inches away, people are very vocally having orgasms right next to you. And then we realized half the people are on mushrooms, and then a bunch of the people just met the week before. And it was just wildly not our people, right? And so when we decided after 2 days, we were getting more and more uncomfortable, that my husband said, hey, we're going to go. Thanks for teaching. We're going to go back to our room to practice. And they told us we couldn't, that we had to have the energy of the room and the energy of the instructors. And he's like, oh yeah, we can. And they had the door locked. And so it was a whole thing leaving. And then we had to find a way to sneak off the resort. So found a massage therapist who didn't speak English, and she got her cousin to come. And, my husband traveled full time for 20 years for Accenture and only stayed at Marriott's. He's like, just get me to a Marriott. We're going to be okay. I just need a Marriott. And so he called and said, where's the closest Marriott? And it was like 4 hours away. And we got there, and there was a JW on the beach, and we were like, but then we spent the next week, riding horses and howling at the howler monkeys. And I don't know, we just love everything about having a beach, mountains, and the wildlife, the jungle. Like what? Yeah. And the food and the yoga community. And, we're just morning people, being around people that get up at the sunrise and they go to bed early. And I just love it. That's the plan. We need a place there that we can spend a few months a year.
So good. So good. I'm envisioning you having this escape out of that resort. And I remember when you first told me that story, I was like, are you for real? Really this happened? I mean, I cannot even imagine, but I just want to say, girlfriend, you were bold in just seeing this retreat, convincing your husband to do it, right? But you were also so bold to leave when you knew that this isn't right for you. And a lot of people, I feel like, would second guess themselves and stay.
I second guessed myself. And I said we are leaving, and one of the other girls attending gave me a really hard time. She's like, actually, you have breakthroughs when you push through. And here is why spiritually you're supposed to push through and da-da-da. And it was really cool because I was going to be convinced by peer pressure. And my husband was so uncomfortable that me standing up for us actually created another bond of trust in our relationship that I wasn't even expecting. He was so relieved that I really, really, really had his back. It was really cool.
Yeah, that's amazing. Amazing. Okay, next question. What's one place you've never been that you want to visit?
Spain.
Okay. I love that. I might be going there in a few months. So what entices you about Spain?
A show I watched, I don't know if it was HGTV or what, but it's all the nicest houses. I think they're short-term rentals. They're vacation homes on the Mediterranean Sea. And I'm like, I'm supposed to be there.
Wow.
It's just so beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, I am also very excited about the red wine in Spain. I know that doesn't speak to you, but I understand it's cheaper than Pepsi.
That's crazy.
Amazing.
Crazy.
So, okay, next question. What's one thing you know now that you wished you knew when you were starting out in the world of short-term rentals or boutique hotels?
Definitely that I didn't know I could go get more money from the bank to invest up front when I bought a property, or that I should. I was like, that's okay. We're going to bootstrap this and it'll make do for now. And we'll do little improvements every year. Holy cow. If I had just known how to go get the improvement funds up front, make it one of the top producers, the top 5% ones in that market, it's just a game changer. Yeah. It's just the returns are so much better. And I just didn't know.
Yeah. So good. So good. All right. Next question. What's the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
Create SOPs. I didn't know what SOP was. I mean, I am constantly flying by the seat of my pants, telling everyone how to do the same things over and over and over and over as our team grew. And once I learned how to create standing operating procedures and record everything on a Loom video, life has never been the same again.
Oh, yeah. It's interesting because I always teach this too, even if you don't know how to write an SOP document, you don't have to. Just get out Loom, record what you're doing, and talk through it. Like just talk about it while you're doing it. And Loom these days will even create an SOP, which is like, it's amazing.
And I like what Dan Martell always says, that millionaires create SOPs and billionaires create leaders that create SOPs.
Ooh,
like we need to be creating leaders and helping people grow, right?
Mm-hmm. I love that. I love that. I'm curious, what is your perspective on that? How does Dawn create leaders?
We help them go to events and really lean into all the personal development tools that we've gotten. We buy our team books. And it's really like when people call and they're upset and they're struggling, whether it's personal or professional, it's asking the questions to help them find the solution and never commiserating, never letting them sit in their shit too long. But all the same tools that people have given me, that everything's figure outable. Nothing's that big a deal. Even when it's personal crisis, make a gratitude list when you're feeling down. You know?
Yeah. Love that. Love that. Love that. All right. Last question. What's one thing and or person that you're grateful for today?
Definitely my husband, Greg. When we got married about 15 years ago, my two sons were entering the teenage years. His two sons were a little younger, and we walked into rough waters for a long time, like 5 years. There was a lot of drama. There was drug addiction. There was severe depression. There was just a lot going on with my boys. And so it was super challenging. He traveled full time. We only had the weekends together. They were full of sports for the kids. And now, since COVID, we're together all the time. We're fully empty nesters now, just for the past year and a half, because we always had bounce backs. And like, our marriage gets better every year. I don't know, because I talk to a lot of women about their relationships. I'm super involved in recovery with sobriety and have a close-knit group of women that are very open and vulnerable about what's going on in their lives. And I just don't know anyone that has a spouse that's this independent, yet supportive of my independence, supportive of everything. I mean, he makes our morning celery juice. We both go to bed at the same time. We like to get up at the same time. We support everything that's important in one another. I mean, he cuddles all night, Stacy. All night.
Okay, no, I will tell you, my husband wants to cuddle all night, but my multiple hot flashes in the middle of the night prevent that. So yes, my husband, I think he's a lot like Greg, although I do not partake in morning celery juice. Like, what does this taste like?
Oh, I love it. But so it was part of a cleanse we did at a Tony Robbins event. And I've struggled with severe IBS since I was a child. And when I'm stressed in any way, shape, or form, I just can't go to the bathroom. Like, I've gone 30 days before without having a bowel movement. And like, you should see the x-ray. It was solid impacted bowel, my whole intestine.
Oh my gosh.
But I grew up thinking going once a week was normal. And so I did this cleanse in 2021, and it was very clean, fruits and vegetables, but morning celery. And then I cut out coffee for the cleanse. And I had always drank 3 or 4 cups of coffee a day. And since I started morning celery and no coffee, I can go to the bathroom like a normal human being. It cured my IBS. And so we travel with the juicer. I won't go anywhere without it. I'm completely hooked. The medical medium has some pretty amazing books about it. And it will cleanse everything out of your gut, but like even help prevent Alzheimer's. It prevents everything. It's a miracle.
Does it taste like celery? Like, I'm sure it's no butter in it.
No, and a lot of people put lemon in it. You can't do that to get the full benefits. It needs to be pure celery, but you get used to anything, don't you? It's just celery.
It's true. It's true. I also used to drink two cups of coffee religiously every morning. And now I drink about a half a cup. So it is interesting how your mind and your body can reset to new experiences and new routines, and you form new habits, and all of a sudden, boom, your future is brighter. So I might have to break out the juicer and
listen to you. He has a podcast just about it. It's crazy. The medical medium. It's remarkable. And then I love coffee. Like, I love it. So I have about 1 cup a month, and it's usually with a friend, and it's a treat. It's like a dessert,
I love that. Okay, Dawn, before we wrap up, if someone wants to find out more about you or maybe about the services that you provide, what's the best place for them to find you online?
We have finally, after years in the making, launched our YouTube page. So that is called Hospitality Hustle. And the S in hustle is a $, which is kind of fun. Instagram is The Hospitality Hustle. And then I'm super active on my personal Instagram, and that is Dawn. Have a great day.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Okay, my friends, before you go, I want to share a special invitation for you to connect with other powerhouse women right here in the short-term rental world. I want to invite you to come join us inside the STR Sisterhood community. We share tips, wins, and real talk to help you grow and glow in your hosting journey. Come hang out with your new business besties. Head over to strsisterhood.com and join us today.